What's up guys, Manny from Motomillion, and let's start losing some weight. So guys, don't click away, it's by no means a fitness video, but the Ducati has the power. We showed you guys in the video where we flashed and dynoed the bike because of the beautiful exhaust and the Brent tuning flash that's on the bike. But I think it's time that we start shedding some weight on the bike. And I think it's official now that our carbon conversion has started. I showed you guys this piece on our last video. It's our front headlight fairing stay or the front subframe, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to start off with this piece. I'll weigh this. We'll weigh the stock piece that comes off, and then it'll be official that we're losing weight. So we're going to start off by first taking apart the front end off the bike. So guys, a quick tip, as I always say, these are not instructional videos, but I want to give you guys some tips. As you saw, I took a couple pictures. You're wondering why. I just want to know the zip tie locations. So that way, if I'm going to cut any of the zip ties or do any of the wiring afterwards again, we know how it's routed. This is also on the service manual, but sometimes taking a picture is a lot easier than going through the service manual and trying to find the routing. But that's the tip for this one. Guys, this is the type of work that I really like doing because we get to the inside of the bike where we see the inner workings, but also there's some Easter eggs. The headlight has, I guess, a sticker on it, the date when it was manufactured, but also it says it's made in Austria and it's made by Hella for Ducati. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if you guys know, Hella is a kind of big company. I watched rallying and motorsports during my childhood, and that was like a big thing with those big lights they had, and it's made by the same company. The other Easter egg hunts are, if you ever worked on a Ducati, it's about finding those bolts that are not tight. I guess it is the character of the bike. Some of the bolts actually are not tightened from the factory for whatever reason. But this is our instrument cluster. We are going to safely put this away. You don't want to damage this, because this whole thing is tied to your ignition, to your key, to your black box, and it's something we don't want to have to replace unless we have to. And also what I'm doing is I'm checking the bolt locations to see which way it is, because there's multiple ways that you could take some of this stuff off. That way I do the most logical way for me to make it easier to put everything back together. I want to try to get this piece out. The air tube flexes, but I think I just will just make the sacrifice and undo the top bolt of the damper just to give myself some room. So there we go guys, that's the stock headlight fairing stay. We're not just removing this, but we're getting rid of these stickers as well while we're doing this. I could literally tell this piece is already heavier than the carbon one that we're replacing. I wasn't a believer in the beginning when I first ever did this. I think this was 4 or 5 years ago now. I just thought the magnesium piece is always going to be lighter than the carbon piece, but this is a carbon monocoque piece. The monocoque means that it's one piece and it's a structural piece as well. And the guys at Full Six have done an amazing job, and they're known for the structural parts. They're one of the only companies who make the carbon subframes and carbon fuel tanks for these bikes, and this being one of those pieces. But let's weigh these real quick. The stock piece is weighing at 1 pound and 8.6 ounces, and the Full Six piece is just 14.5 ounces. it's right around 10.1 ounces lighter than the stock piece. We'll take that, especially for a piece that's magnesium that we're replacing, because magnesium is on the bike for its lightweight characteristics. And this goes on just the same way that we took it off. In theory, it's going to go back in just the same way that we took it out. Looks like we're in place. Everything is already lining up beautifully. We want to make sure we put these grommets in. And for you keen viewers, don't be fooled by the color of the Loctite. Different brands of Loctite, or thread locker, shall I say, have different specifications. This is a permanent one. It's made by a German brand. I'm not using the conventional ones that people buy in the US. It's usually the Loctite brand. And make sure when you're doing the damper, don't lose those O-rings that come off of it. So far, everything is lining up beautifully, which is what we like to see. Now the next part is our instrument cluster. There is some lock washers on here. We want to try to make sure we don't drop these lock washers while we put it in. Guys, I'm also putting the cluster covers in carbon onto the bike. And remember, these were plastic when we took them off and we had to stretch them, or we had to bend them to get them out. Carbon has a little bit of a bend in it, but I'm putting tape on here just to protect the new piece that we put on, the headlight fairing stay, so that we don't scratch it when we're trying to squeeze it in there, because it is a tight fit. So let's see if I could get this on here. As you see, it has to go under here, and let's see. I think this worked. Yeah. And obviously this piece is not bolted on there yet. Let me try to get it on the other side. I'm putting the tape just in case, because you don't want to scratch anything. And I think some of you are probably wondering, gloss carbon and the bike was matte. Don't worry guys, we're going to go with the complete satin carbon on the bike, but I kind of like to mix it up. I want some stuff to pop on the bike, and that's why I'll pick gloss pieces, and then some of the other pieces will go with satin or matte. But you know, there's no golden rule that everything has to match. I just do it as to my own taste, and you know, you can switch it up yourself too. And I think that's the beauty of it, right? Because no two bikes end up usually looking alike, even if you have a bunch of buddies with the same bikes. Don't forget, when you put the plastic pieces on, you could form the plastic kind of to meet the holes. And if the carbon is off the bat is not lining up, it's just because the carbon is the same shape, but it doesn't bend as easily. So you have to be a little patient with it. It's not that the product is not fitting or it's not made well. Don't forget, carbon doesn't bend. Even when you're putting the side panels on, just give it attention for a minute, how much you're bending the plastic piece. And when you get a carbon piece, it's a lot more rigid. So that's one of the things, just be patient with it and trust us, it'll fit really nicely, as this is all coming together now too. Really excited because I want to grab our front fairing and let's see how it fits. So this is our beautiful front fairing piece. I'm not going to install this today, but I just want to test it, and I also want to see the contrast in the satin carbon and the gloss carbon we have here. And I am pretty excited because this is a sneak peek for you guys. And if you own a V4 and if you're doing this, don't go installing the front fairing without your windshield, because you have to take everything apart to install the windshield. We actually have a video on our YouTube channel on how to install that windscreen on a V4. Some of the non-Ducati guys are really surprised that you got to take everything apart to change the windscreen. But I really like how it looks. And don't forget, there's going to be a windscreen that covers all these pieces up, so it's going to really separate the gloss carbon from the satin carbon, and it just looks as good as I had thought. And while we're here, I really wanted to give a shout out to Boyan and Sebastian from Full Six. I can't say great things about them. They actually came and visited us last year. I think I could call them great friends of mine, but also the products that they make are just absolutely magnificent. Just how easily that front subframe or the headlight fairings stay fit on this bike is a testament to what they're building, and they're just building, I guess it's kind of carbon jewelry for the bikes. For now, guys, I'm going to remove this front fairing piece and I'm going to put it somewhere safe, because I think that's it for this episode of the SP2 series. It was kind of easy compared to some other stuff we did, especially that exhaust system that we put on the bike, but it does make a huge difference and I can't wait to see it together. And if you guys missed the last episode, we put this beautiful handlebar setup on the bike and a few other pieces if you want to go check the video out. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Until next time, guys, have a good one.